What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Spill the Tequila here on the Outlaw. That's right. I am the Outlaw John Rocha, joined as always by the King of Swag himself, Winston A. Marshall. How are you, Winston?
Hey, man. Did my last vacation, little mini vacation I got one more minor one. We do a yearly trip to Palm Springs. But nice. I went to go see Kendrick this weekend, man, in Vegas. It was
Kendrick Lamar in Vegas.
It was so good. First of all, Allegiant Stadium
is
simultaneously one of the greatest stadiums that I have seen, and also very poorly designed in some ways.
Do tell. It's the home of the Las Vegas Raiders, Allegiant Stadium. Yes.
Beautiful the way they have it set up, because Vegas gets exceptionally hot for being in the desert.
Yes,
they have it set up where they have like blackening curtains that they could easily put up, or at least I assume it's easy. I don't work there, but it looked easy enough to kind of give you that black hole effect if you want. So if you wanted to go Friday Night Lights with it, you could, which is pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
So beautiful stadium. Really great how they did the seating and everything, all really great. The only negative thing that I would say about Allegiant Stadium is the kind of entrance and exits, the way that they have it, it is such a bottleneck. I actually got a little scared when we were leaving. I was like, nothing's happening right now, but I don't like being this tightly packed with people to get out of like 3 or 4 doors.
Yeah.
Because there are exits surrounding it, but they're all funneled to like these certain areas. So when I tell you it genuinely is like 3 or 4 doors, and outside of that, the stadium, I'm assuming there are ramps somewhere, but there are on the outside perimeter of the main gates to then get to the stadium. You got to go up all these stairs too. There's like a set of like maybe 15 concrete stairs before you're actually in the building. So when you put all of that collectively together,
good God,
didn't notice it going in. When we left, I was like, oh, no. If an emergency happened, I would be unfortunately, having just rewatched the Final Destination movies, because I'd only seen scenes. I had never seen the movie straight out. I was like, no, this is how death gets a lot of people. This is not a good thing. But the rest of it, the sound, the seating and how it works, all of that.
Right.
Chef's kiss.
That's amazing. Yeah, I know a few people who've been to that stadium, and so I'm always jealous that they get a chance to be there. But judging from the way you just presented it, it comes with its own detriments as well, or dangers as well. And why not? It's a Raiders stadium, so logically it would happen. Stadium, the Raiders. When I grew up, the Raiders were a tough team to go and witness and watch, with the clothes that they were wearing and some of the feelings that you got when you went to those games. No offense to any Raiders fans, but yeah.
Because the other part of it, Rocha, that added to the bottleneck is the fact that then when you leave the stadium, it's directly connected to a street, kind of like a little mini highway that crosses the main highway, but it goes directly to like the Luxor and Mandalay Bay. Mandalay Bay, I think.
Is it Mandalay Bay? Okay.
Whatever that other hotel is right there.
Okay.
So again, on the one hand, just walking through, especially if you're standing on the strip, that's all really cool, but it's it's a bottleneck. So ride shares are always bad at stadiums. This was exceptionally bad where they kind of had that set off, but there was really no way to wiggle too much. It was cool that they put like stations of water on that road so that if people needed some on the way out, but it's just, I get really weird, especially knowing what we've seen in stampedes and all sorts of scenarios.
Yeah.
To not have developed a larger way for multiple bodies to move quickly.
Yeah.
I that is something that I'm surprised that wasn't stopped. Someone didn't go, what are we doing? Especially like, heaven forbid, I'm not even trying to, bring anything back, but knowing that Route 91 happened there. That should be an immediate thought of how do we maximize safety for any major venue going forward. That was just, it was alarming to me to think about that. But
that's an excellent point. Yeah, no, very, very, yeah, exactly. Because they took a long time to put that stadium in there. So the fact that you've got those issues when you're in there, oh man, I can't even imagine. Did you get to go to the Sphere at all? Is that was anyone near? Okay.
Didn't do the Sphere. The Sphere is also off the strip. So, but we really were there. Like we landed Saturday,
and
went straight to the concert that evening.
Right.
And then kind of enjoyed like not one of the bigger pool parties that we were staying at the Excalibur just because.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Originally was going to stay with a friend. Friend had to go out of town, so we just had to get a hotel. So Excalibur's old ass apartment, man. It felt like an old ass apartment, old ass hotel. So like we just went to the standard pool there and just hung out and all that kind of stuff. But
cool.
it was cool. It was cool.
That's great. That's great. That's awesome. There you go. You know, you get a little mini vacation. And look, Vegas is closer than people think to those of us who live in LA and whatever, you know,
John.
It's like 5-6 hours. It's like
not bad. John, I flew Spirit for the first time. John.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
What? Oh, come on. Come
John,
on, man.
John, I'm not gonna I know we're trying not to even give me one, and I won't use it this time. But when I tell you this was like if Soul Plane legitimately became an airline, like when I tell you on the way out there, the flight attendant is this black gay brother talking about, all right, everybody, I need you to go ahead and open up your tray tables. We're like, what? Why are we opening it? You said we're about to land. He goes, if you got a gold star, you just won, baby. And I was like, what is happening? Like, yes, you just won free miles on Spirit. I was like, anybody trying to do this again? Like, what are we doing? Like, it was wild.
Who's the person that has miles on Spirit? Who is who's getting multiple miles? What is the reward?
So here's the thing. When I tell you it genuinely is dirt cheap, but that's because they nickel and dime you for everything.
Of course.
So like if you're the person that's like, I just need to get where I'm going and I don't need a lot of stuff. So if you were doing like a quick business trip where you were just going to a meeting and coming back.
Yeah.
Like let's say you needed to fly because like the flight from here to Vegas and back total with me adding on being able to not just have a personal item, but a carry-on. So just like the standard basic 2 you normally get. I want to say round trip was after taxes like $135, $140.
Okay.
Which considering Vegas flights used to be $79 round trip before taxes and fees.
Right.
Most of them are sitting at $150 as a starting point.
Right.
So like knowing that if you had some quick like that, that would be worth it. But otherwise, man, they made the seats much narrower. There's no seat back pocket on it. They charge you on everything. They charge you. They're like, we're so sorry. We're not going to be able to do service. But if you do want to ring your bell, we can sell you water for $5. Hey, we're selling water for $5 on top of the.
It's in a cup. It's like a white paper cup.
On top of the fact, Rocha, they don't have first class or business class.
Of course, they have first class.
They have big ass seat, Rocha. They have it's actually called big front seat. I'm not kidding. It's called big front seat, but I call it big ass seat. And it's literally what you know from like first class, those bigger seats, big ass seat right in the front. And you can pay extra money for that out the ass. But I saw that. I said, oh, wow, my God. Wow. So
Spirit is like taking the bus. Spirit is like taking the bus to
the sky.
Yeah, it's actually a bus in the sky. And
there is a time and a place to do it. And like I said, it was a quick trip considering how expensive all flights to Vegas are right now, which doesn't make sense because it's such a quick flight. It's a 45-minute flight. It should not be as expensive as they are and yet. So I was like, you know what? A friend was like, I'm just going to do the Spirit flight. You're going to do what? And I looked at it. I looked at the price. I said, damn, I got to buy a damn Spirit flight. And I was presented with raffles and big ass seat. That's what I'm saying. Open it up. You got the gold star. You just want free miles, honey. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it was a time. That was probably the most ridiculous Vegas action I saw. Was getting on a plane with big ass seat.
No doubt. Oh my God. No thanks. No thanks. I've seen too many videos on Spirit Airlines. Like it's no thanks. No,
it's a lot.
No place I need to go at that level of payment that I'm willing to endure what might happen to me while I'm on the flight.
I got jokes from my friends. They were like, you broke now, huh? And I was like, hey, man, did you see how expensive Vegas flights? I'm just going for a concert. The whole reason we did the Vegas one is because the LA tickets were too expensive. Like they were tapping out at like $400 and $500. And I'm like, I love Kendrick. I've never seen him perform. This is like a bucket list that I need to see, but I'm not willing to drop that. Like I genuinely am not. Yeah. So
Jay West says it best. Let's praise the Lord that Winston made it home on Spirit. Riding Spirit is like playing Russian roulette.
I was going to say that I made it home. No, here's the funny thing. We haven't heard of Spirit flights crashing. We've just heard of people having ghetto ass experiences.
No, people crash on the plane.
That's the crash out. So we've seen fights, we've seen naked people, we've seen the charges,
I've seen
all of that.
I've seen a grill in there. Like it's crazy.
It literally felt like Soul Plane. Like again, as I mentioned earlier, like you remember in the movie, it looked like a subway car in the back. At times I felt like I was on a subway car in Spirit. There's this one kid sitting next to Kristen, and she was the row ahead of me. Bro. And she goes, "Oh my God, this boy smells awful." And I was like, "I know, I can smell him from back here." So like that's the kind of ridiculous shit you can expect on people that ain't taking baths and use deodorant. She almost pulled her deodorant out and handed it to him because she was so upset.
Like I said, it's riding the bus. I love this. Calvin's like, do big ass seat charges apply? What is big ass Oh man, that's great. No.
When we saw Big Ass Seat, man, last day when we saw it, did you ever watch Black Jeopardy on SNL?
Of course, it was a great skit. I love those.
It felt like one of the prizes. It's at first it was like extension cord. You needed to whoop somebody's ass or to plug your thing in, get extension cord and big ass seat. Are you a fat ass that's flying in the sky? Well, you can't sit in them tiny ass seats, so get big ass seat. Brought to you by Spirit Airlines.
What's the cookie tin can? You don't know what's in there.
The cookie tin can. The good chair. Give granddad the good chair. He old. Good chair.
It should be just a front area with like 10 recliners, 2 sitting next to each other. That's what it should be. The big ass seat. Oh my god. That's insane. Never again. I would never do that. I would never do that. Oh yeah, the Soul backs up your point. Soul says the only good thing about Spirit is they don't fly Boeing.
Right, all Airbus.
Crash,
but they were Airbus Neo. So the same way that you will go and like go get iPhone, it'll be like iPhone like Soul, and like all it is it technically has the Apple logo, but everything else is the cheap small version. That's what the Airbus Neo felt like. It's technically an Airbus. Oh, even the little things with the seats on them look like Greyhound bus numbers that you see on the seats. Like they look the same.
What falls out if you're in a car in a plane crash? If you're in a plane crash with Spirit,
probably weed smoke. Just so you can be high when you go. You can be high when you go in there. You just straight hot. Everybody hot boxes them to the grave. That's what that is.
A bag of edibles. Just have 1 or 2, and you're done. Oh, madness. No thanks. No thanks, man.
Not Alan Smithy saying short Airbus.
Oh man, that's madness. No, the Soul Plane Cinephiles episode is happening. No way.
You got to do it. There's too much classic cinema in there.
We're just getting so much trouble doing a watch. No thanks, man. Craziness. Anyway, we are here to have a little fun talking about some of the news stories going on in the world of entertainment and outside the world of entertainment, as we're going to cover the Knicks firing Tom Thibodeau. We're going to get in some Superman Clayface stuff and other things going on. So, and you guys know the deal. Streamlabs Super Chats are open. Send in your love, send in your support as we go along. Almost 200 of you already joining us here right off the bat. So thank you so much. And of course, you can follow Winston A. Marshall at Swaggy Bro. You can follow me at The Rocha Says. And please subscribe down below. Hit that bell button. And for those of you who are watching and want to jump to topics, just look down below in the description. I will have time codes there for you all about an hour or so after the show is over. So look there as well. All right, Winston, after we're done with your Spirit Airlines, which was a great experience to listen to, let's move on to someone else who's flying, probably at a higher level here, and that's Superman. That's right, Superman and James Gunn. This is happening now. There's been some reports here. The Wrap did a whole report on Superman. Humberto Gonzalez over there just talking about how much the cost of the film is now $225 million is what they're saying the budget is, which means it would probably need to cross $700 million at the global box office to be considered a success. There were rumors that it was a 2-hour and 2-minute film, and James Gunn has pushed back on that. There were rumors about the fact that 25 minutes were cut out of it. James Gunn has pushed back on that. There were rumors about a second composer coming on and another editor being brought in because they weren't getting the mood right. He has countered everything in a Hollywood Reporter story. But at the end of the day, it's very clear from this article and from everything that's being said is that DC needs this to work for so many reasons. And even today, just before we got on the air today, the board of direct, I think the board at WB rejected a raise for David Zaslav, rejected a $52 million bonus package for this man you see right here. He's not happy about it. A $52 million bonus package was rejected. And you have to think it's because they're not a fan of how Zaslav has been running Warner Brothers / DC. And now we've got Superman coming, and we're like just a little bit over a month away from this thing coming out. So where are you at right now with all this information coming out and all these different sources? And what are you feeling about the situation as it stands?
What has he done to deserve a raise? Didn't they already pay his ass mid 9-figure? Did he make like 375, 400 mil on the first one? Off like, sure they did it as either like a bonus or stock options or some shit. What has he done other than what? Cancel Batgirl and Coyote versus Acme. To take away HBO Max, to name it Max, to turn it back to HBO Max a couple years later when they realized, man, that was kind of stupid. Like pissed off God knows how many different very influential artists and directors and stuff like that, where Villy Villeneuve was like, I'm out.
I'm good. I'm out. Yep, exactly.
Like what? I gotta go. You said that Christopher Nolan, you're one of your biggest cash cows, said, I'm going to Universal, and went and made one of his biggest commercial successes out of Oppenheimer, as well as like critically acclaimed award-winning successes. And said, nah, hell no. So what exactly has he done? And then on top of that, you throw in the fact that there was all of the drama of not just we're going to just throw stuff on streaming without talking to the artists. You've also got like a number of artists being talked about how they're not being treated fairly. You had people that had their life's work in particular shows or animated shows or whatever just get prematurely pulled without any notice.
Yeah.
I am very, and then what the reports that used to come out about, he was like, yeah, man, bitches watch HGTV and the fellas be out here watching, video game shit. So that's what we gonna put up. And it's like, why would you ever frame it like that? And even in a meeting that is going to end up in the press, like, what are you doing? Yeah, like you can easily, like, I'm obviously over exaggerating it, but the way it was still presented came off as like you just don't care. Right. Like, you can still say we are seeing that the male demographic is watching more of this, the female demographic is watching more of that. But the way it was framed as like a quote. Yeah. He wasn't calling people out of their name, but he was not even trying to pretend like he cared. He was just thinking about people's numbers. So I just, he doesn't deserve a raise, in my opinion. And let him alone knowing there are people that I know that still work at Warner Brothers that he's stressed out all the time. Yeah. Because he feels very Trumpian in the way that he runs the studio. Yep. So it's just like, who knows what his crazy ass gonna do next? Yeah. And
it's crazy when you look at the situation, because you're like, okay, at this time, how many times have we seen, Winston, that these boards just kind of rubber stamp these raises or these bonus packages? So you really have to work pretty hard to not get approved for a package here. It's a $52 million pay package. And essentially the fact that they voted against it, and it wasn't just him, but other executives as well. So they weren't getting their bonuses. So it basically says that the board does not have faith in the current people who are in charge of WB. And there's so much unrest behind the scenes there. Again, it feels like this has been a perpetual story through multiple regimes at WB over the last 10 to 15 years. Same kind of stuff happening over and over and over again. And then this situation here, the fact that this is the guy that's supposed to be in charge and have a strong hand and all that kind of stuff. And then you've got Superman coming out here in just over a month. If that underperforms, I don't see Zaslav staying in that job for much longer without selling it. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what the next step would be. So it's really crazy because you've got the success of Minecraft doing really well. And like, there's a couple other WB stuff that's doing really well. But in the end, what is the overall result going to be if Superman doesn't quite hit the landing? And look, it's projecting to do really well in its opening weekend domestically, but that's also before people have seen it, before the critics have come out with their reviews and their reactions, influencers coming out. And then, of course, after people go see the movie on the first weekend, what will the responses be? So there seems to be more than just the future of DC riding on Superman. It almost feels like the future of Warner Brothers is riding on Superman. And that's a hell of a lot of pressure for one movie, one director in James Gunn, and 2 stars, or 2 or 3 stars, I guess, in Superman with Corn Sweat, Brosnahan, and Nicholas Hoult. So it's a lot right now that they're taking on for this movie. And it almost seems unfair. Not that I feel sympathy for these people who are making millions to $100,000. It's more a matter of like, it seems unfair that there's all this pressure on it. But here we are, timing wise, for this movie.
Yeah, man. I mean, we've been talking about this for a minute on Capes and Cows, and it's sad to say this, but it's like there is. Oh, wow. I'm sure you. Sorry, I went to check something on Zaslav real quick. I know I just got distracted. Let me finish my thought, and I'll read what just popped up right now. Yeah. We were talking about the fact that not only like he was brought in to kind of do business. I understand that the entertainment industry as a whole is taking a massive, just kind of body blow after body blow. But it seems like Warner Brothers Discovery is taking bigger L's than a lot of these other studios, and that's despite having mega hits like Sinners and Barbie and like things that are supposed that like are kind of helping stuff go along. We've talked about how he doesn't have the best bedside manner, which is pissed off at major assets and things like that. And how Superman was a linchpin. If it doesn't go off, this could really screw Warner Brothers in a massive way.
Right.
And they really, really needed to go. What I just saw that I'm sure you saw yesterday that Disney just let go of a bunch of TV and film people.
Yeah, over 100 people, yes.
Breaking news on Deadline. Staffers blindsided as Paramount fires WPP Media, its longtime agency of record and cost-saving move amid Skydance merger review.
Wow.
So it's a lot going on right now. And the funny thing is there's a part of me that wants to be like, oh my God, like Hollywood is dying in such a big there is a small part of the fact that sorry, my brain got fried yet again.
Okay.
Take it from me for a second.
Let me read it. Yeah, lost my thought. And as Winston was laying out here, and this is breaking on Deadline as we're talking about, Paramount has fired its longtime media agency of record in a cost-saving move as its proposed merger with Skydance Media continues to gestate. The abrupt change comes as Skydance and its private equity backer Redbird Capital are waiting in the wings to take control of Paramount, pending government approval of the $8 billion deal. Precisely who drove the ad agency decision is a matter of some dispute, according to sources. But Paramount's relationship with agencies primarily resides with John Halley, the president of Paramount Advertising. On the sell side, Paramount does business with agencies across its networks and streaming services, and the opportunity apparently presented itself to create more favorable economics, giving the buy-side shift of the agencies. They have worked with Paramount Pictures, WPP Media, for more than 2 decades, dating back to when the studio was part of Viacom. 3 sources familiar with the situation tell Deadline that the agency was fired and replaced by Publicis, another of the large agency players. The switch, which was not preceded by the customary review period when an incumbent has a chance to retain the business, will result in significant cost savings and has been characterized as a business decision. Executives relayed the news at Paramount and externally. So Publicis did not, Publicis, I hope I'm saying that right, did not respond to a request for comment. And we know that the merger here between Skydance and Paramount has been completely tied to the Trump administration because of the idea of DEI, and Paramount is also the parent of CBS. And we've seen over the last few weeks how the executive producer of CBS, by the way, there's only ever been 3 executive producers of 60 Minutes. He stepped down because he felt that this Paramount was judging their editorial decisions on 60 Minutes. Other executives have stepped down because they don't want to be part of a situation where they're kowtowing to Trump. And now you've got a situation with a media agency that's been fired. Is it just to save money, or is this a media agency that has connections to Trump and to the MAGA side of things? And so are they trying to curry even more favor to get this through? And quite a lot of people have been coming out vocally and on social media, people of name and note, going after Sherry Redstone for the things that she is doing here in the irresponsible way that she is pursuing this merger at the cost of telling the truth about what's going on in our country, in our world. So it's a fascinating moment right now for Paramount, but yeah, there's got to be more to this, especially when they're not giving them a chance to retain their business and come back with a lower offer to maybe retain Paramount as a client. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and that's sorry. So part of what I was going to say was just the fact that I know that all industries, whether it be because of tariffs or otherwise, are struggling. I think AI is affecting multiple industries because people are looking to further automate stuff one way or the other. And we really are at a space where that cat is fully out of the bag, considering every company is pushing AI heavy. So you have enough. Like even in Hollywood, there's a point at which we need to just kind of take a look and make sure that it's not directly trashing jobs, which is what the strikes were about, and they're just being used as tools. If they're being used as tools, like a buddy of mine who edits was talking about how there are teams, both independent and otherwise, that have been using AI for a few years, but not to actually finish anything. It's being used in like, I think we missed a shot. What are you thinking? Render a shot so they can see it, and it's a placeholder, and then they go and actually get the footage they need and then get rid of it. Like if that's the type of stuff that people were doing, if you were using AI to like to do a spell check or something, you're like, I really can't think of how to name my script. Oh, what about this? Oh, that's not a bad idea. Like stuff like that. That's one thing. It's another thing to be like, I'm gonna make all of the special effects run through AI. We're not gonna actually do it ourselves. Those are two very different things. So I just worry about every industry, not Hollywood. I worry about everybody dealing with all of that. And this kind of cost-cutting stuff that all these companies keep doing and how that's going down. This isn't for the betterment of the people that work there, the recipients of services. This is purely to kiss ass and make board members happy.
Yeah, and it's all bullying tactics, is it? Because Trump has a $20 billion lawsuit filed against CBS. I mean, how stupid is that number? But it's done to intimidate. And they apparently offered him an 8-figure deal to try to settle the situation, and it has not been accepted. So you see that the pressure is building on this whole situation all around, and trying to put it in motion. I mean, the fact that 20, 30, 10, $40 million is not enough to settle some lawsuit that was, I think is insane that they're even going into negotiation. But of course, he is a gangster, and he's going to go in and be like, well, when you're weak, I'm going to lob this whole situation because you really want the merger. You need my approval. So I'm going to file a capricious lawsuit, and I'm going to put you in a situation where you have to pay me money just so I can approve this merger going through. So it's dirty, underhanded tactics. And it's a shame that a company that is connected to so many amazing films and TV shows and news organizations has to kowtow to this guy in order to put this forward. So yeah, as you said, you're seeing it all over the place. And then this is going to cut jobs. It's going to cut everything is just constricting right now in the entertainment industry. So it's a tough place to be in. And a lot of people, I think all the way up and down the chain, are in some danger with their jobs and with their creativity or their creative side of things as well in both of these studios, in Warner Brothers and in Disney, all the studios, I guess I would say, and Paramount. So yeah, it's a nutty time right now. Man,
it really is. It really, really is.
Yeah. But what about the Superman situation? Anything you want to say about that before we move off from that? Anything you want to add to it, or is it all this pretty much stuff you expected and suspected, and we just have to wait and see how the movie?
All the same stuff. I stand by, like, it's hard for me to listen. Like I refuse to listen to people talking about screenings and stuff because we're not at a stage where it's the end. We're still trying to tinker it until it's time. So there's that. So until we start to get to press screenings, and they're like, nothing else is changing now between now and release. Minor, maybe I would be scared if we start to get those press screenings and they're like, oh, we gotta go back and chase them. We got like 24 hours. That would scare me.
What have we done? Yeah, exactly.
But until we get to that stage, and that's the big thing we've known. This is huge. This will determine if the DCU continues. Like as we start, we're just starting. This becomes a giant question mark about, like, were Gunn and Safran the right choices to do this, what that means for Warner Brothers Discovery. That's the big stuff, and that's kind of the same conversation we've all been having for a little bit now.
Yeah, that's a good point. For a little bit now, for sure. All right, well, what about the Clayface stuff? I don't know, get your thoughts real quick on this. I know you're probably going to a little bit more on on Capes and Cows, but this is the story here. 4 actors are said to be in running to play the title role of Basil Karlo, which of course is Clayface, being directed by Speak No Evil's director James Watkins. According to My Time to Shine Hello, George Mackay, who some of you, or McKay rather, some of you remember from 1917 or The Beast, Tom Blythe from Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and Jack O'Connell from Sinners, recently the villain in Sinners startup, and Leo Woodall from One Day and The White Lotus are all testing for the part. Sources say the film is budgeted at $40 million, and it is a Hollywood horror tale centering on a B-movie actor who injects himself with a substance to keep himself relevant, only to find out he can reshape his face and form, becoming a walking piece of clay. And of course, Mike Flanagan wrote the script, but it's getting a rewrite, I guess I don't know if it's a page one rewrite, but certainly a rewrite. So you hear this situation. What do you think of these four guys? Is there anyone leaps out to you they think would be a nice choice? Anyone do you want to vouch for maybe in the situation?
I don't know the work of the other three, so I gotta go with Jack, man. He just absolutely crushed in Sinners. I hope that everybody that was a part of that movie will see a massive, positive flux in their work. People that have been in the game for a long time. I mean, like Delroy Lindo. Oh my God. The woman that played my brain really is having a rough time right now. That was In Love with Smoke.
Wumi
Thank you.
Yeah.
She's been a beast.
Oh yeah.
Because if I remember correctly, wasn't she in Loki? Wasn't she one of the?
She is in TVA. She's in Loki. Yes, absolutely, 100%.
She's been fantastic. So I hope to see more work for her. And then Jack O'Connell, I know he's been doing stuff for a minute, but same thing. I hope he sees a massive influx from this too, because one of the better villains we've seen in a while, and felt Killmonger-y, ironically, which Ryan Coogler is very good at writing that character of somebody that's like, no, you're evil and what you're doing is wrong, but damn, I kind of empathize with you a little bit, man. Like I don't hate you,
right?
I don't like what you're doing, but I kind of get why you're doing it.
Yeah.
So I hope he gets to see more out of that.
Yeah, I like the Jack O'Connell choice, especially because Jack has been through the wars of having been touted as this up and comer and this really great guy, like what you saw in the Angelina Jolie film. I can't remember the name of it, but where he played the prisoner of war in World War II and comes and becomes successful because of that experience. I liked him in that Money Monster movie with George Clooney and Julia Roberts. He was damn good in that. But yeah, Sinners it feels like he's gone next level as an actor. And so if he's in that position and you want a name guy to be a part of your movie, and I think Sinners is Warner Brothers, so why wouldn't you keep it in-house, move Jack O'Connell into that position? The fact that people know him as the villain in Sinners, that helps you sell tickets. And he's going to be a villain in this movie to a degree. So how interesting will that be to have him play an actor who's been through the wars of his life? He hasn't quite achieved the success he thought he was going to achieve. So it becomes this thing and becomes a villain in the Batman universe. And I'll tell you this, if you're going to move Pattinson into the situation as the Batman in James Gunn's universe, Robert Pattinson versus Jack O'Connell, I'm on board with that. That's some strong acting,
Absolutely. And I think the other thing that you could get out of that is just the idea of we're talking about, if done right, the type of movie that could garner plenty of awards or at least nominations. And he's certainly proven that he's strong enough to carry that weight.
Right.
I think it would be good. But I mean, I'm curious what other people think, just because, like I said, I'm not familiar with the other three's work. So by all means, if y'all got a better choice, hit me up. I want to know.
Yeah, I like George McKay in 1917. I thought he was excellent in that movie as being the main guy of that film. I thought he was fantastic.
That was the one with the one shot where they're running to get the message delivered. Okay, he was really good in that. I do remember that.
Tom Blythe, I do remember him as an actor, and Leo Woodall as well. I've seen some of their work, but not a lot of their work. So, but for me, I mean, I look at it from a business point of view. People know Jack O'Connell now. Right. That to me is just the smarter move on so many levels. But maybe they want to go with another actor and get them well known through the movie. We'll see as the decisions get made, and we're probably a little way off again until Superman comes out. I don't think anything's going to get locked down until Superman comes out on the
probably not, because they need to, they literally need to make sure that this is what they even want to do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like they gotta feel good enough to go, yeah, okay, go.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about this story here, Winston. This is kind of a sad story a little bit, so we got to get to it first here before we get into the Knicks conversation. But the noted actor from King of the Hill and Parks and Rec and numerous other jobs, Jonathan Joss, sadly was killed a couple of days ago in what a lot of people are terming a gay hate crime. And his partner, his husband, wrote a beautiful statement here that was also difficult to read. Tristan Kern de Gonzalez is the husband of Jonathan Joss, and he wrote this story saying, "My husband Jonathan Joss and I were involved in a shooting while checking the mail at the site of our former home. That home was burned down after over 2 years of threats from people in the area who repeatedly told us they would set it on fire. We reported these threats to law enforcement multiple times and nothing was done. Throughout that time, we were harassed regularly by individuals who made it clear that they did not accept our relationship. Much of the harassment was openly homophobic. When we returned to the site to check our mail, we discovered the skull of one of our dogs and its harness placed in clear view. This caused both of us severe emotional distress. We began yelling and crying in response to the pain of what we saw. While we were doing this, a man approached us. He started yelling violent homophobic slurs at us. He then raised a gun from his lap and fired. Jonathan and I had no weapons. We were not threatening anyone. We were grieving. We were standing side by side. When the man fired, Jonathan pushed me out of the way. He saved my life." So this is Pride Month. And the reason we have Pride Month, no matter what these MAGA or anti-woke fuckers say, is because of stuff like this. Is because across the board, it is inherent in certain systems to pass judgment on people who are part of the LGBTQ plus community. And hateful fucks like this guy find reasoning in that to murder people simply because they're gay. You know who's against God? Who's anti-God? Who's anti the principles of Jesus Christ? The people who murder because of your sexual identity. And that's madness to me that this happened to an actor who I loved in Parks and Rec and people loved in King of the Hill. So, Winston, this is a tough story, but we got to talk about his Pride Month, man. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, you hit the nail on the head, man. I get really sick and tired of people being like, "Well, when is White History Month? When is Straight Month? Straight Pride Month?
Family Month? Yeah.
When is that happening?" I mean, the main one they love to use, and they tried to usurp it, is go, "June is now Veterans Month," and I was like, You do realize, and this is literally like I'm talking to a vet here. We have Military Appreciation Month in May.
Yes.
So we do have a month for that, and then we also have National Veterans and Military Families Month in November. So you actually have both of those. And what pisses me off when people do that shit, you're not saying it because you mean it. You're saying it to be contrarian.
Right.
If you truly meant it, you would have looked that up and known that yourself. And then when November comes around, you would have been, "Hey, yo, it is National Veterans and Military Families Month, y'all. We need every day. We need to talk about this. We need to pump them up. Why are our vets not getting the VA not working? Things like that." If y'all actually cared, that's the stuff that you would do, but you're not doing that. It's why I used to get obviously very pissed off at any All Lives Matter bullshit and any, Blue Lives Matter shit. The fuck is a blue life? Like all this nonsense, because you don't mean it.
Yeah.
You don't mean it. You're doing it just to be contrarian to people. And the reason why we need a Pride Month is because this nonsense happens.
Yeah.
Because you are still watching hate crimes happen in real time. You're watching history get erased in real time. Yep. And then people want to be like, "Why y'all still holding on to that? I mean, you got gay marriage now. Like, I mean, clearly everything is fine."
Yeah. Yeah.
What? It's like, "Oh, the black people can vote, so clearly y'all don't need no more civil rights." Like, this is the nonsense that happens.
Yeah.
And so my heart is broken that this is how Pride Month started.
Yep.
That this was the very first story out of Pride Month, was that a successful gay actor was murdered in front of his husband. And had been essentially emotionally tortured for a minute before this ultimately came to this. This is the nonsense that's going on. And I want to say, I'm not saying that I've like lost hope or anything. I want to say that I believe things are going to get better and things are going to be all right, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to be 100% honest. Things keep spiraling. It doesn't mean you stop fighting. It doesn't mean that you don't stand up for people that need it. It doesn't mean you don't speak truth to power.
Yeah.
But I genuinely don't know. This is getting pretty damn scary, that people that have screamed Constitution for forever.
Yeah.
When the Constitution is genuinely being threatened. I don't know, but it needs to happen because we got to do that. That is the logic logical place that we're at right now. That's completely illogical. And so I am genuinely worried for our most vulnerable, because that's where we are, man.
Yeah. And you see people like who are trying, like I think because this happened in San Antonio, Texas, and it's San Antonio police are trying to claim that there was no evidence of hate crime in the actor's shooting. That's what they're saying. No evidence of hate crime. I'm sure that I don't think a husband of an actor, this well-known, would go off and write a whole missive about it if they hadn't already made the authorities aware of the stuff that they were going through, their suspicions. There was no evidence means, well, we don't see any actual texts or calls, or we didn't catch anybody setting the house on fire. Then you have to ask the question, well, how hard did you really look? How hard did you really look? What is the attitude towards the San Antonio police, towards members of the LGBTQ plus community, towards this actor, towards the husband of this actor? So there's a lot here to look at here to find out what the truth is. But I will side on the side of the husband, the actor's husband, who wrote this pretty specific set of a message, rather, and set of accusations that this is what happened in this situation. And so I'm going to go on that. And I'm going to need the police to prove to me that there wasn't that going on.
Right.
And the fact that this guy who shot him tried to get away in his car before they stopped him a block away from the shooting and arrested him tells me all I need to know about the character of this person. So it's madness to me, and it's such a shame on so many levels, you know. And plus, he's Native American, which makes it even more like how many Native Americans who find success in Hollywood? Not that many. So to lose another one who had really left a fantastic legacy with his work, you know.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, man, that I truly hope at some point, that humanity can come back, because I worry that we've gotten to a place in this country where humanity is gone.
Yeah.
And it's just really frustrating, and it's really scary because, again, you and I both fall into those categories, the ones that of the most like marginalized and or with targets on our back and things like that. Like, I mean, he being black, you being Latino, like, let alone that, like, you know, I don't remember the ethnicity of Mrs. Outlaw, but like, I'm in an interracial relationship. That puts an extra target on.
My lady's
name. So they're put extra targets on our backs for that. Well, like there's just a lot of stuff out here, and I've even seen people straight up be like, I'm going and I'm starting to find ways to delete like my internet history, my tweets and all that. And they're like, why? And they're like, because free speech is under attack. They're like, oh, I thought you weren't scared of getting canceled. I was like, nobody's scared of getting canceled. What people are scared of is the government is making a lot of overreaching stuff and not protecting people.
Yeah.
So what's to genuinely stop this to continue to escalate? So again, everybody be very aware, pay attention to the news, protect your loved ones, like keep your head on a swivel, man. Like, just real talk at all points in time, because people have made it very clear how they feel at this point.
Yeah. And today, sadly, another act of cruelty, in my opinion, or erasure towards the LGBT community by this administration. The defense secretary, Pete Hegseth, has ordered that the USNS Harvey Milk, who was named for the gay rights icon, be renamed. He wants to rename the ship.
Of course it is.
Harvey Milk served as a diving officer in the Navy and later as a diving instructor for 4 years in the U.S. Navy. He served our country. He served our young men and women in the armed forces. And yet this guy wants to come in and remove the name of the ship. Cruelty is the language of MAGA constantly. And it does get a little sickening to see this happening in this way. And they wait for Pride Month to do this. This is intentional cruelty. This is an intentional hate that they are pushing out there. And it is so frustrating to watch it happen in our country. And people are just trying to get along. And so you hope that all of this stuff is starting to maybe make people have second thoughts about where we're going as a country. Because being a hate-filled country that's afraid of free speech and afraid of people expressing themselves as they see fit sexually, as long as it's between consenting people, I think is just a horrific path for us to be walking on as a country, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I saw somebody with a fantastic TikTok that was essentially like, I don't understand how I was forced every morning at 8 a.m. to stand up, look at a flag, and ask for, pledge allegiance to a flag and accept, expect liberty and justice for all.
Yeah.
And then when people try to claim liberty and justice for all, people get genuinely angry.
Yeah.
And push back on that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, and it's even more gutless. We're about to talk about some sports stuff. I mean, Winston, none of the leagues are coming out other than the WNBA and saying Pride Month, Pride this and Pride that, because they're all afraid of Trump coming down and doing some stupid shit to fuck with their money. The teams are doing it separately within these leagues, which I applaud them for doing. But the league themselves, like all the stuff has been removed, especially the NFL. Goodell with all his balls there.
Well, you saw they put a video out, right? And it got slammed by a number of people, including Des Bryant, which was infuriating.
Yeah.
I considering he's somebody that like I have had nothing for respect and the stuff he's gone, when he was playing for the Cowboys and in the league. And then on top of that, he obviously had his own issues that he was dealing with throughout, that they had to like have chaperones for him and make sure he was doing the right thing. They just put out a video here. I actually probably can show it.
Yeah, they did. You're right. The NFL put out a video that football is gay, football is beautiful, all of these things. And here are the 12 teams that did not post any LGBTQ Pride Month messages on their social media. The Jets, Woody, no surprise, Woody, you clown. The Ravens, the Bengals, that breaks my heart, the Ravens, because Harbaugh seems like a guy who pretty much accepts people for who they are. The Bengals, the Browns, the Steelers, of all people. Now I know
that doesn't surprise me. Come on, Mason Rudolph, after what just happened.
That's true, Mason Rudolph, that clown. The Colts, the Titans, the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, the Raiders, the Cowboys, sorry, buddy, the Seahawks, and the Saints. Those are the teams that did not post any LGBTQ Pride Month messages on their social media. And that's such a shame, man.
One team on that list that surprises me, and that's Seattle. I don't know much about much about the owner, but just based off of the area and things like that, that surprises me. Yeah. Steelers don't surprise me. Baltimore doesn't surprise me. Dallas damn sure doesn't surprise. Well, the Cowboys don't. Like the funny thing is Dallas as a city is actually very liberal, but you're still in the heart of Texas, and it is the most Texas and the most American good old boy team that possibly could. Saints don't surprise me. Not the Kansas City damn sure doesn't surprise me. Like considering it was it's only football, and we're gonna let what's his name say whatever he wants at the which is look, to that point, he was not at the time speaking for the NFL. He's speaking for himself. So is he allowed to say that at a graduation? Sure, but
the kicker, right?
Yeah. Butker, that's his name. I couldn't remember his name. But he was allowed. He was allowed to say that on his own time. But it doesn't mean we're not throwing him all sorts of side eyes and stuff like that. But like, I mean, Mahomes has never actively said anything politically, but his wife has, and he certainly didn't run anything back. He just was like.
And the thing is, you have to wonder, like. And look, I know everyone's like, in love with Taylor Swift again because she bought her masters back, which I know some people really have an emotional connection to her getting her masters back.
I do. As an artist and knowing how a lot of artists, especially musicians, do get screwed and how that went down with her was pretty shady. Yeah, that's a big stamp to show other artists to be able to try and figure that stuff out. So I actually do think that was a big deal.
Okay, that's fair. I didn't see it as that big of a deal, but I respect obviously that you did, and other people certainly did. But what is her response to this? Like, what does she do with this? Does she come out and say that you're disappointed by the Chiefs? Does she care, or does she want to stay out of it? Because I mean, she threw her support behind Kamala Harris and she didn't win, and then some people turned on her. And is this and of course, she's dealing with a Blake Lively situation, which really is a whole nother bunch of drama.
She is furious at Blake, apparently, bro. And I don't blame her, especially. Didn't a judge just throw a massive part of the case out? Against Blake?
The part that they wanted to depose Taylor Swift, and the judge threw that out because there wasn't enough evidence to depose her. But Blake yesterday has put a motion in the court docket to try to remove the accusations against Justin Baldoni. So now she wants to back all the way off of this thing, and it's all because the lawyers for Justin Baldoni said, well, we want to see her medical records because she claims that all this physical abuse happened to her on the set. We would like to see what she's claiming that Justin Baldoni did to her physically. And it seems like because they asked those medical records to be produced, she now wants to pull away from the lawsuit completely because there's probably stuff in that medical records that either A, proves that she's lying her face off, or B, there's stuff in there that she does not want people to know, along with the possible abuse that happened from Justin Baldoni. So yeah, it's a whole hot mess that she's dealing with on that end. So maybe this is way down on Taylor Swift's list to call out the Chiefs for not being supportive of the LGBT.
I also think that, like, to that point, I know that she has a lot of gay fans for sure. But I think she does not work for the Chiefs. It's not, I don't think that
Good point.
She chooses her battles of when she decides. I don't think that she necessarily owes anything one way or the other. She is dating a player for the Chiefs, but she is not an employee. So there's no reason, in my opinion, that she would necessarily need to do something like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if she was an employee for the NFL and obviously she feels some type of that's a different conversation. But I don't think that she owes anything for that one way or the other. I get more like the stuff that is interesting to me is like, oh my God, what was the like superstar linebacker that was playing for the Raiders that came out a little while ago?
Oh yeah.
Was that's not Max Crosby? No, it
wasn't Max.
I cannot remember his name.
Okay.
But
look it up while you're talking. I'll look it up and see if I can find it.
He obviously can do whatever he wants. Yeah. But I would argue that would be somebody that I would hope would speak out if
Carl Nassib. I think
Carl Nassib. That thank you, Nassib. What I would hope in that regard, but again, he can live his life however he wants. If he's like, I don't want to get involved, whatever. I would hope he'd be the one to like call out Dez and not be like, hey, bro, this isn't saying that football is anything. Like the point of it, the last message, and that's where people get hung up about one little thing here and there, and that's more to media literacy and nuance and following the full sentence to be like, the message is saying that football is for everyone.
Yeah,
that's it. The fact that there were issues with teachers having to walk away from careers because they put up a sign that says everyone is welcome. That's DEI. You got a black hand and an Asian hand and a white hand. Nah, that's DEI. We don't do that here. You don't say all children of all backgrounds are welcome. That's a problem. In the same way that you're saying that not everybody can like football, can love football, can work in football. Is that really what we're saying at this particular point? Nobody is saying like, yeah, football is out here now, like just doing all sorts of raunchy. No, that's not what it is. The message just said that football is for everyone. It is for everyone to enjoy and to participate in. That's all it said. And if people can't understand that,
yeah. I mean, Des Bryant, as you said, Des Bryant posted that tweet and he said, football is gay, football is queer, football is transgender. These are wild statements to make. Excuse my silliness. He doesn't mean that. I'm going to proudly tell my boys football is none of these things. I have nothing against gays, but this is far from right. Well, no, what he's saying is far from right because football is gay. It is queer. It is transgender. People have played in the game who have fallen into those categories. So if football can be black, football can be straight, football can also be queer and gay and transgender. So the fact that he's rejecting it, I think to me shows an ignorance on so many levels. And I feel bad for his boys that they're going to be told this kind of homophobic shit instead of acceptance shit. And have that passed on to them, and the generational hatred of people from the LGBTQ plus community will continue, and that's unfortunate. And no bullshit he says at the end, I have nothing against gays, but this is far from right, is going to carry any weight. You know, it's just such nonsense, man.
To call it far from right means that it's wrong. I would like to know what is wrong about it. What specifically was said that is wrong about it? Because again, it didn't say that if you play football, you now have to be, if you're a man, you have to be in a relationship with a man. It doesn't say any of that.
No.
It doesn't say a single thing about any of that. It just says football is for everyone was the final sentence of that thing, meaning that it's encompassing that everyone that's on that list that was put out there can love and appreciate football. I don't get the problem. I really don't.
Yeah, exactly. It's nonsense. It's just such nonsense on so many levels. So yeah, it's a shame to see. Well, let's stay with the sports side of things. And Winston, we got to talk about this guy, Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau was fired by the New York Knicks today. This is a massive, shocking bit of news. And we do occasionally veer into the world of sports on this show, as we used to do Game Time together. But this is a massive shock after he's led the Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals. They did lose in 6 games to the Pacers. They had the Pacers on the rope in game 1, up 14 with like 2 minutes left or something like that. Like, they ended up losing that game, then losing the second game, and then eventually losing the series here. But he got an incredible amount of output from Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns and others on that team, like Josh Hart and other players. And in the end, this is pretty shocking that they would let him go. But do you think the reasoning here is to cover Leon Rose's ass because he hasn't given him a strong bench? Thibodeau has played his top 5 players, and Thibodeau's known for this, so it may not just be a New York Knicks situation. He is known for playing his top players and riding them into the ground, like we saw with Luol Deng, we saw with Derrick Rose, we saw with other players that he has kind of exhausted their playing times to affect their health possibly down the road. Jalen Brunson was behind him, very supportive with him after the Eastern Conference Finals, and a lot of people have come out, including Ben Stiller, who's become the point person Knicks fan this side of Spike Lee, saying how much they enjoyed what Thibodeau has done. So is this Leon Rose covering his ass, or does he really think that this team should have gone farther even than the Eastern Conference Finals because he built that roster? What do you think?
I think what we're looking at here, I think is a ridiculous firing, and I thought the same way when it happened with the Warriors, but I think about Mark Jackson, and the exact same thing happened.
Oh, right.
Before and then they hired Kerr,
right,
and then they were off to the races. So there is a world where, especially because Thibodeau has had time here, they're looking at the scenario and thinking, you have put in a strong foundation, but I don't know if you can finish this.
Right.
So now here's the problem. If you do not hire the dude that becomes Steve Kerr and then takes them to the promised land, maybe even multiple promised lands, then you look like the idiot that traded Luka Doncic because you were like, I didn't know that people liked him that much. So you better be right. That's the only thing I'm saying. That's a big risk to pull off somebody that just got you to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2000. In a quarter of a century. It's the first time you have been to the Eastern Conference Finals like that. So they better have a very good game plan as to who it is. What made me laugh though is Doc Rivers was trending because all the people were like, so wait a minute, wait. Thibodeau goes to the Eastern Conference Finals and Doc Rivers still got a job? This is nonsense. Who knows? Maybe they're going to go get the coach from Denver. Because I understand that like it clearly wasn't the best fit, but maybe he's got the secret sauce to come get New York to the promised land and take them continuously on out there,
Yeah, but the thing that and it's a great suggestion, Winston, of course. But I also saw some people pushing back, going, well, if they go with this guy, you're essentially finding another version of Tom Thibodeau because he's just as much of a hard ass as Thibodeau is. So is what Leon Rose said correct, that they want to go in a new direction, or do they want to go in a direction where they think that is a more similar direction, but a direction where they think the guy they're going to hire is going to get them over the hump? Because that's been the thing about Thibodeau, and he is the guy who has won more games, has a higher winning percentage than any coach to have never appeared in the finals. So he's a guy that gets you to the promised land like Moses, but he can't go into the land of milk and honey because for whatever reason, he's just not able to get there. And so this is an interesting situation. And I wonder if this was already in motion, Winston, and they didn't anticipate that they would get to the Eastern Conference Finals, but they had made their decision, I feel like, during the season that they wanted to let Thibodeau go.
And people are pointing out it happens more often than we realize. I forgot Doug Collins obviously got fired from the Bulls so that Jackson can come in and win those 6 titles in 8 years. The only thing is Planet Yavin just said, well, maybe they're going to go get Phil Jackson. No, the hell they're not. Like, I know you said LOL, but they're definitely not going to do that for 2 reasons. One, the man is 80 years old.
Yeah.
I don't think he's interested in picking up, like, because he put it down. I could be wrong. But secondly, I need people to remember the horrific 2014 to 27 years of him as an executive, and he in New York do not get along anymore. That's not happening.
No way. That makes no sense. There's no way that would ever happen with Phil. But you've got Frank Vogel out there. He is roaming around out there. You can maybe snatch up and put him in this position. So they do have a wealth of out of work coaches that they could maybe explore. Or maybe there's been some talk behind the scenes with another coach who's currently in charge of a team that has already been knocked out of the playoffs or didn't even make the playoffs, and they think he'd be the right fit for the Knicks. So we're going to see, but I see a lot of people that are not happy about the situation and the way it's gone down because they love this magical run from the Knicks.
Yeah, we will. I mean, we will genuinely see what happens because they are a team to contend with. You just need to make sure they can finish the job.
Do you think Cat stays? Or do they think, because they have almost no draft capital, man?
If I'm Cat, if they'll give him some money, I feel like you want to do that. But if they don't have any draft capital and you have to kind of move stuff around, because I think that's how you got there in the first place. You had Cat and Brunson working off of each other. You need in this NBA, you need either a 1-2 combo, or you need a one and such a solid cast of characters around them that they can make it happen. And I look at like what OKC is doing. People are trying to call them like a big three out of that. But if I'm just being honest, those the other two, I can't remember the names off the top of my head. They're very good, obviously, but that feels more akin to Shea is Dirk, and then this is Tyson Chandler was fantastic. Jason Kidd was fantastic, but let's be honest, that was Dirk and the squad. That's the same thing that Shea is doing right now in OKC. This isn't Russell Westbrook and James Harden and Kevin Durant. This is Shea and friends, and they're cooking.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. All right. Well, anything more that we should talk about, Winston? Anything more you want to address or hit on before we get to these questions? What are your thoughts?
I'm trying to think if there was anything else that popped off. I feel like there was something I saw at the last minute.
Let's talk about Angel Reese. What do you think about these guys that have gone viral for betting on Angel Reese missing the first shot she takes in a game? They are 6-1 right now with the victories they've had. I mean, I get that like the WNBA is a sports league and we should be able to heckle or make fun of or cheer in the situation. Do you think it's a little different though? Because we've got that hatred of men towards women that might be an undercurrent of this stuff as well. And of course, we've seen some of the charges of racism being leveled. Although, to be fair, the WNBA investigated that with the Indiana Fever and found no evidence of it. So, but doesn't mean it isn't happening, right? They just found no evidence in that situation. So are we bordering on a little bit of cruelty? Because I'm kind of split here. Like half of me is like, it's a sports league. People are going to say the most horrific shit. You see regular players get the most horrific shit. Said LeBron gets ridiculed more than any other player. But then on the other side, and his sexuality is questioned, all of that. His son is attacked. And on the other side, though, these are women. So is there a societal respect that we need to have when doing this kind of stuff when you're a male fan? What are your thoughts on
it? Where I think this is out of pocket, because I think, again, we can look at the scenario and just look at just straight numbers, and there is something to be said about said bet that it would be a thing.
Yes.
Like I'm not going to deny that there are straight numbers to look at and go, well, that keeps happening.
Yeah.
That is a thing. I think what the difference is here, this is purely off the back of making her look bad. This is not because they're actually like, hey man, this is like a smart bet I could win. This is like whatever. This is purely out of a place of just kind of malice and stuff. Because to be honest with you, I guarantee you there were all sorts of, there's something similar. You can go look at like field goal kickers that have had moments where it's like, dude, he is on a tear for screwing this up. I'm going to do another bet. He's going to miss another chip shot or something like that. That happens plenty. There's plenty of anti-bets that happen.
Yeah.
To specifically do this to Angel and to make this a thing and to throw it on the internet so you can turn around and get clout off of it, You could have done that all day and nobody knew, and then it would have been like, wow, that was kind of a smart statistical bet. Versus you just look like a piece of shit. That is the whole situation. Period. Is it's just like you just genuinely look like an asshole.
Yeah.
You're doing it on purpose to push buttons.
Yeah.
And like, I'm never gonna hate on somebody making a bet, but you didn't do that and keep it to yourself. Like that you did that, I would have been like, damn, shit, statistically, wow, good money, boy. But that's not what this was. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that is where I have a problem, and that's where like it sucks. And I don't like people that again cannot keep nuance and stuff. But that's why you will see black people dig in harder to defend Angel.
Yeah.
That is the reason why, because there's plenty of negative things that Caitlyn has done, not to the same level as Angel, if we want to make that debate or whatever, but there's stuff that she's done. Ain't nobody out here doing those types of bets on her or anything like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You know, and you know me, I'm a Caitlyn Clark defender, has been noted on our show multiple times. But if guys were doing a video of Caitlyn Clark every time she threw a turnover, we won a lot of money, 10 turnovers, woo! Like, I'd be fucking pissed. Like, I would be pissed, because this is a person who is trying to establish herself in her career, and these doofuses who are never going to achieve anything remotely close to what Caitlyn or Angel Reese have achieved, either financially or in their chosen fields professionally, are like gloating over these situations that are going on. And we see it in our respective channels and in other places. Like, there's just this undercurrent of hate for people who are doing the thing that they love, from people who can't do the thing that they would love to be doing. And so it comes out in this way, you know, oh, God didn't bless you with the ability to play professional sports, so you're going to sit on the sidelines and yell, right? Gabby Thomas, that sprinter this week, she lobbed a protest against this bettor who apparently shows up at her matches or at her races and yells at her from the sideline that she's going to choke, and then brags on social media that he got her to choke and he made money off it. This is the kind of hateful shit that you see going on in our country and in our world now, that honestly just has no place in our worlds. And we've accepted too much of it. We've been way too lenient with people like this. Like, it really is getting out of control how we're all just hugging trees around this shit. That's got to stop. This is nonsense. And we need to do better at punishing and doling out consequences to people who act like this to this level. Cheer against, of course. Go vitriolic, get the fuck out of here, you know?
It's a certain area, man, where I just get really tired of the fact, and you brought this up already, we are just in a society now where the idea is just negativity sells. Yeah. Even more so than sex. So run with it. Call somebody, like a bigger person is in the gym, like trying to make changes for themselves, or they find Ozempic and it saved them from heart disease or diabetes or whatever. Oh, look at the fat ass in the gym. Oh, you had to use Ozempic. Oh, yeah. You know, like all of a sudden you're slamming somebody for that. Yeah. You know, somebody's out here trying to better themselves, better their life, whatever. A movie takes so much to make. Yeah. It takes so much. And people are openly bragging about how I bombed. Yeah. Like, the only reason that I ever find myself feeling that whatsoever is if you're watching somebody who was genuinely a bad person at the forefront of that movie, then I'm like, I don't want to see you succeed because you genuinely have pushed more hate or anything else like that. So to that point, I understand if there are people that are like, it feels like sometimes Angels is pushing a lot of hate here, but let's not act like she's not already catching it from all different angles. Yeah. And now you're turning around and trying to further profit on it and get your own clout off of her back. That's what that is. This is not because you're like, hey, if she missed the shots and you're like, you know what? I don't like her. She was really rude. I think she's a really mean person. All right. You're literally capitalizing off of her clout. Right. Like, you know what I mean? And that's where I'm really tired of people and their nonsense, man.
Yeah, Adit Mahood points this out. This isn't just the women, obviously. Astros pitcher Lance McCullers Jr. had to hire security after bettors were threatening him, his wife, and daughter. This has to stop. I agree. I think there was someone else on the Dodgers team where that kind of stuff happened as well, where they went after someone and threatened their family. That kind of stuff. Our policies are way too lenient for that kind of stuff. If you're verbally threatening someone's family in that kind of way, I think you should absolutely be punished for the fullest extent of the law, and there should be laws written to stop people from acting this way. It's not about restricting freedom of speech. You're free to say whatever the fuck you want, but there are consequences, right? Sarah Silverman said that recently in a sit down with a lot of comedy writers and comedy people, and she said all these edgy comics are crying about the fact that you can't joke about anything anymore. Yes, you can, but there's consequences. And who wants to be who is out here saying they're edgy but can't deal with the consequences? What kind of wuss wants to be edgy but can't deal with the consequences? That doesn't make any sense, right? And so this idea is this victimhood narrative of the people who feel that they want to say whatever they want to say and cloak themselves in freedom of speech. There is freedom of speech. There's not freedom of consequences. And that's the game and the way it should be addressed. And so I think the leagues need to come even harder. Someone's pointing out in the tennis situation here as well. Emma Raducanu, her stalker came to one of her tennis matches recently, and she saw him in the stands. That's insane.
Who's the white girl gymnast from LSU that like got a lot of fame on social media, but has stalkers everywhere? There was just one about how people figure out her flight info
at the airport. Yes,
and they don't just show up in the airport like near the baggage claim. They go and buy tickets so they can stand at the gate and wait for her. So that's the part where I agree with you. Like, I think it's across the board, the kind of nonsense, but where I agree with you specifically how we're talking about women in sports, it drives me crazy that people want to, again, try and come after the 100 trans people playing sports and claim we're doing this to protect women's sports. And then this is the shit that happens. This is how we talk about Angel and Caitlin and Libby, sorry.
Yeah, Livy Dunn.
Livy, Emma, how we attacked Coco Gauff for trying to do for being worried about her mental health and the pressure that's coming from that. Simone Biles, how she stopped away because she had what's it called, the twisties, and they're like, you better get out there and win for America. Like this is how you're protecting women's sports, and this is how you talk to women in sports. No,
it's always been bullshit. That whole thing has always been bullshit. I mean, that's what frustrates me.
Yeah. And then the last thing, like you said about the comic side of things, the point of comedy is not only to make people laugh, but it's to make people think. The point of it is to genuinely, it's said all the time to laugh, to keep from crying. And that tends to be a standpoint that a lot of Black folk take, especially Black comedians from that. Like, we've seen so much trauma that you're laughing through it.
Yeah.
It's okay to be edgy and to push the envelope, but you better have a damn message and you better understand what you're saying and not just using it as an excuse. I've seen plenty of white boy comics that want to do an N-word joke and they don't have a point. It's just an excuse for them to say it. Right. So you better have a damn message and something that makes sense and you can stand on business and provide backup to that shit than just saying something because, I said a naughty word. Like,
right. Chris says, didn't Sarah do blackface? Yes, she did. And she got in trouble for it. And she dealt with the consequences because that's what you do when you're an edgy comic. You deal with the consequences. You don't go on your bro podcasts and whine your face off that you can't joke. I can't joke about anything anymore because I can't say racist, sexist, homophobic shit. Get the fuck out of here. You want to be edgy? Go be edgy. Don't go crying to your daddy about the fact that you've got consequences for it. That's life. It's real life.
It's one of those things that, like, again, I look because I'll keep it a buck on both sides. I think it's completely ridiculous to all the different type of like hanging things they had of Barack Obama and stuff like that. I look back at what Katie, what's her name, did. The comedian. God, I'm really struggling with names today. She did like the beheaded Trump photo shoot.
Oh yes, Kathy Griffin.
Kathy Griffin, thank you.
Yes.
I think she's suffered the consequences for it and how it went, but I obviously you have freedom of speech as far as all that stuff goes. But if it was inappropriate to depict Obama being hung, it's inappropriate to show Trump being beheaded. It's not like that. You need to stand on business across the board. You may hate either one of them as presidents and even as people. But if we're going to say that one is just so inappropriate, then I think both are. Yeah. And so, like, to that point, depending on stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. So
any kind, it has to be consistent. That's the number one thing. I so agree with you, Winston. All right, let's get these questions. We got. I know we're getting close to the end of the show, so we got to get these questions. Winston, answer some of them. J_mobile, and thanks to everybody who's watching, by the way. And thanks to everybody who sent in Streamlabs and Superchats. We appreciate it. It's how we keep the show going here on the channel. So thank you. J_mobile says, I never catch y'all live, so had to support. Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Jay Mobile.
Alma Poe says, Winston, I did the same, but the Bay to Las Vegas Kendrick tickets were $700. Ghetto GL, they were singing and on the way back snoring. My bro-in-law told me and my sister we were bougie if we couldn't be with N-words for 1 hour. Oh, well, I got to take that down. So go ahead. Probably just lost our funding there, but go ahead. Yes.
I mean, look, it was a fantastic concert. Kendrick is who he is for a reason, man. Like the visuals were crazy. I think the one part that I felt like an ass about is like, I obviously know SZA.
Yes.
As like an artist. I don't know her personally. I mean, I'm aware of her work. I am more familiar with her features, the stuff that she's on with other people. I know a couple of her direct songs, but I don't know her catalog. So I did feel bad that like she would be up there and she'd be crushed. And I'm like, I don't know the song. It's good though. Like I like that. I found that happening a couple of times. But it was a really, really good show, man.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Corn Emperor says, I'm late, but hell yeah, tequila. Thank you, Corn. He also says, F these bigots, MAGA ice all these POSs.
By the way, somebody was saying if that's the case of what I said, then black people shouldn't be singing the N-word by that logic. Or knowing that those are two very different comparisons, one way or the other.
Nonsense. That's so stupid.
Like because one is directly condoning whatever violence directly against political figures, and if we can all agree that should, if it's wrong to do it to my candidate, it's wrong to do it to every candidate. I think the other thing there is that we know for a fact that black people have actively gone to take that word and restructure it in a way to try and for ourselves, to take that kind of hateful word back. Now people have all sorts of arguments, even within and I think the only people there that should really have a say are black people about what we want to do. Right. I understand black folk that are like, I don't say that word for any reason because I don't think you can ever kind of restructure that. Yeah, I counter that with, unfortunately, white people have restructured woke, which had nothing to do with the nonsense that they throw around now. Critical race theories, social justice war, all these things. They have restructured all of those things. So if black people want to restructure a word, that's their prerogative. But I say all that those are not one for ones. They're not one for ones at all. And to try and compare that is comparing apples to oranges, and it's a straw man's argument. So
I'm taking a word that you use to denigrate generations of my people. I don't mean me personally saying them, so I'm quoting this. And you're using that word, and I'm taking that word and reimagining it as a word that is power within our community, and we're using it a certain way with within our community for any artistic endeavor that we have or any interaction that we have, because we're taking the power away of the word from you. You still don't get to use it. You don't get to use it, and that's fair. I think that's 100% fair.
But and so the fact completely different.
I know, and people want to use it to be like, oh, well, it should. Oh, if they can say it, I can say it. No, motherfucker, you got no business saying it. It's got nothing to do with you. Don't say the word. Simple as that. But these children hate being told that they can't do something. Yeah.
But I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand how that can be compared to people shouldn't make jokes about killing political figures, right? Like I don't know. I do not understand how those are supposed to be one for ones. I'm missing the additional trail here. If there's the yellow brick road, I'm like, bro, there's like grass all over. Where are we going next? What the road just stopped. They know we're not here. Where are we going? Like, how do we get there? This stopped.
How did you jump 5 miles ahead of me all the way over?
and then you'll be there, bro. This says that I'm in Culver City. You said I'm supposed to meet you in Pasadena. How the hell do I get there now? I don't. What?
Chris Corcoran says, have you seen Greta Thunberg and others are sailing to Gaza to provide aid? Super brave of them, but I also worry because her last ship was apparently hit by IDF drones. It was. And F. Lindsey Graham's gross tweet. Well, what do you expect from Lindsey, who is closeted, allegedly? Yeah, I mean, I have stayed out of this whole situation because I'm of the mindset of any innocent lives being attacked or in danger across the world. I think is a terrible thing to have any to be happening for anybody, right? Any innocent lives being threatened in that way. But that situation is so complex and has centuries of history behind it. I would feel ashamed to even comment on it one way or another. But yes, Greta Thunberg, yeah, of course, you don't want to see her getting shot out or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, man. And I pray for the safety of her and anybody that's, just trying to bring peace and support.
I appreciate someone who's going into the war zone to help versus people who are sitting in their comfortable homes with their 6-figure salaries going crazy on social media and not playing a hand. Put your money where your mouth is, or put your body where your mouth is. I respect that more than somebody. I respect what she's doing more than what these people do, going crazy on social media or accosting people in public places to force them to try to answer your questions. It's horrific stuff that people are using a really legitimate thing that's happening for their own benefit, and that's dangerous to me. Not everyone, but some of the people are doing that. Yeah.
I can't believe that we're at a place where, again, it's equally as wrong, obviously, that I believe to be talking about violence against political figures. It is, in the same breath, absolutely disgusting and unacceptable, and should be its own level of punishment for public figures, for political figures that are supposed to be representing us, to make comments. Apparently his tweet says, "I hope Greta and her friends can swim." That's disgusting. You are supposed to represent the people of South Carolina and this country as a whole. You are a terrible human being, and I hope you get the day that you deserve. That is a phrase that I've been using a lot recently, where it's not a threat on nobody, but it's essentially saying, I hope the karma you're putting out in the world comes back to you. If that is how you want to talk to people and about people, then I hope that karma is as kind to you as you apparently were not to other people.
Yeah. Karma is a danger. Yeah, exactly. That's why you don't mess with it. It's a dangerous thing, and you never know how it's going to come for you. King Sport Cal says, y'all see that TikTok challenge? Guy got killed doing a door ditch prank. Kids are putting their lives in danger with reckless abandon. No, what is the door ditch?
Yeah, prank? Some teenagers decided they were going to do ding dong ditch on somebody, but in the process, like, broke into a house while they did it, and so the guy thought he was being robbed, and he shot one of the kids, and now they're trying to sue the guy for doing that. I believe the dude that ended up shooting the kid was black, and I think they were white kids. I don't remember, but it's that's where, that to me, that's a failing of parenting. I understand that kids are going to do whatever anyway, even with great parenting, but like, that is a moment of like, you broke into someone's house. It reminds me of that other kid that got shot at a food court. We kept touching and like doing whatever. This guy said, "Do not touch me again." And he goes, "What were you gonna do about it?" And then he got shot. He goes, "Oh, you shot me." He's like, "I warned you not to touch me." And he was found not guilty on anything. It was considered self-defense because this guy was messing with him. Hopefully people will start to learn that that's the only thing you can do.
Apparently it's at 3 a.m. that they do this, that they go and either kick the doors in or bang really hard and run.
Right.
And this young teenager was shot in Spotsylvania, which is close to where I grew up in Virginia. So, wow, that's people are messing around with this prank stuff. Human beings, you can say whatever you want on social media, but you never know how human beings are going to react to it when you do stuff to them. So you're taking chances. You're taking chances. John Ashford, thoughts on the R-Truth release? Why they give him a match Friday and fire him Sunday? Oh, have you ever worked a job? They do that all the time in a real job. You show up, finish out your day, and then they fire you at the end of the day because they got a whole day of work out of you. That's absolutely,
it's the wackest thing to do in the world, but it does happen in a lot of different industries.
You know what's great? I mean, that's the thing that happens. It's absolutely the thing, and so you have to be aware of it. But yes, of course, I think R-Truth being released sucks. And I think a lot of people, it's caused quite an explosion in the WWE community some wrestlers like The Miz and Gunther have removed their WWE notifications on their their WWE stuff in their bios on their social media. They've removed WWE on their social media. Everyone's posting about it in support of R-Truth. So it's terrible. But yeah, it's a shame to see all that happening. Chris Corcoran, have you been following the NYC mayoral race? We need Zoran Mamdani to win there. If anyone lives there, they do not rank Cuomo. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about it. I've kind of stayed out of that whole situation. But I don't know much about Zoran. What about you, Winston?
Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know anything really about the mayoral race other than Cuomo trying to do that, and I pray that doesn't go down that way. We do not need Cuomo back in charge of nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. We got some Streamlabs that come through. Fantastic says, sup, tequila spillers. Happy to support my dudes. Did the box office peak too soon with Lilo and Stitch and Final Reckoning? Because all of a sudden I felt a lull for moviegoers and their lack of interest in the big movies being released. I hope I'm wrong. Well, I mean, Lilo and Stitch is already well over $600 million in 15
What?
I'd like to peak that well. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I'd have a problem with that. I think Final Reckoning was the peak last week. I don't think Final Reckoning, I don't think it's even going to match what Dead Reckoning did, which was $570-something million worldwide. I have a feeling that Final Reckoning won't get there. A, because it's 2 hours and 45 minutes long. And B, because although a lot of people did like it on the critic side of things, there are quite a few people who didn't. And that's been kind of the prevalent feeling, is that it's mixed. But yeah, Winston, Lilo and Stitch, $650 million. What is the early peak there, for God's sakes? It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's kind of cray-cray. I mean, just especially from the idea that like it already, like Sinners was the second highest grossing movie and so far, and it passed Sinners already. You know what I'm saying? Like that speaks a lot to what's going on to already be at 610. If it continues at this rate, then you're looking at $1 billion. I don't.
100%.
You're staring down the barrel of $1 billion for this thing. So I think Lilo will be fine, but I think that your Karate Kid Legends isn't going to make any sort of comeback just because of the word of mouth of all that, and Mission Impossible, even though it's been a big franchise for a long time, I just don't think that it has the kind of weight that the other major franchises do in that regard. And like you said, 3-some hour movie essentially, and mixed reviews. A lot of critics liked it, but like mixed on stuff that's going on. It's not a slam dunk where you look at like say a Top Gun Maverick, or you go, no, you gotta go,
right?
Yeah,
Mission Impossible right now, Final Reckoning is at 356 million worldwide, but it dropped 57% this past week, and so did Lilo and Stitch, to be fair. But Lilo and Stitch you have more screenings, or more screens and more screenings to see the film, and I think that's what's helping, because it's only like an hour and 45 minutes, hour and 50. It's not that long, and it's already made $618 million worldwide. So yeah, it's pretty massive.
That's so crazy though that Sinners still made.
Oh, Sinners, yeah.
It still made $5.2 million this past weekend. That's at week 7.
That's
crazy.
It just went on digital. You can now watch it at home if you want to watch it. It's $25, I think. And they released a deleted scene of them constructing the juke joint. I haven't watched yet, so I'm definitely going to watch that after the show today. J_Mobile says, I personally hope J Park, Soups, and F4 are good. Oh, Jurassic Park, Superman, and Fantastic Four are good to great. Am I the only one who thinks Superman dropping just a week after Jurassic Park and 2 weeks after Fantastic Four could hurt it? Well, it's not dropping 2 weeks after. It's dropping 2 weeks before Fantastic Four. I think they're dropping at the right time. Jurassic Park is not it's starring Scarlett Johansson, but it isn't like part of the trilogy that those other other 2 sets of trilogies were. So I don't know if it's going to do the same amount of money. But yes, it is a dangerous July with all 3 of those movies dropping very close to each other. So I don't think we're going to know till it's all over,
But they're also not necessarily the same audiences. They're like in a certain sense they are, but they're kind of not. Like they are definitely different genres. And I think we also need to take into consideration where I don't worry about Superman. Like the only thing Superman needs to do is be good.
Yeah.
We were talking about arguably, if not the one of the like top 3 biggest names in all of superheroes. We really haven't had a Superman movie in a very long time.
Yeah.
I don't think they can cannibalize quite as much because they are not one for one. I think the bigger threat is maybe Superman and Fantastic Four, but I still don't think that they are going to necessarily cannibalize each other because they're doing 2 different things. Right. I think Fantastic Four has a greater shot of being potentially screwed by Superman if Superman's killing it, but it would have been 2 weeks already. Right. So you know what I mean? So like a lot of that the edge will be off because people will be like, "Ooh, there's another new movie." So
right. Yeah. And we saw like the fact that both Lilo and Mission Impossible, I said just a few minutes ago that they dropped 57% in their second weekend. That tells you all you need to know. People go in the first weekend now, majority, to see these movies, and then the drop-offs are pretty steep. So the fact that you just said they have 2 weeks, Superman does, before Fantastic Four shows up, they're going to make a bulk of their money in those first 2 weeks. And then it's going to be about going up against Fantastic Four. So yeah, that's the situation you see happening there. So yeah, we'll see. All right, let's see. We got one more, I think, and then we can wrap up after this one. Samo says, I think Schumer and Jeffries need to go. They are not doing their jobs as Democratic leaders, and it makes me angry. Yeah, I mean, there was a recent poll, I think a day or two ago, that CNN talked about where a majority of Democrats do not see as their Democratic leaders as strong leaders. And so I don't disagree with you. I mean, I want to hand the party over to AOC and Jasmine Crockett and Goldman and Moskowitz. I want to hand it all to the new blood, because this old blood is just, for me, not doing it anymore. And Hakeem is part of the new blood, so I would hand it over to him as well.
Yeah, Hakeem has kind of shown similar to Cory Booker at times that he can be a little soft, where like he can talk a lot of big game. Like Jasmine Crockett, from what I look at, I've yet to see her about face on a stance or pull back or lose a spine. I've seen Jeffries and Booker both lose their spine for a minute, and that's not what we need right now. Yeah. Like I cannot stand Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, etc. They, to me, are very fanatical and they're ridiculous. But if you notice, they don't ever stay off. They're the same energy across the board, no matter what they're fighting for. Yeah. Whereas I've seen Democratic leadership shrink at times, and I can't. Yeah. Like I think the leaders of the Democratic Party need to be, like you mentioned, AOC, Pete Buttigieg, who's been killing it, Crockett. Like that's who we need to see at the forefront. Yep.
They need to find a way to take over control of these committees, control the party, and change the direction. Get out the old approaches.
Much harder to do than people realize, man. Because God, like the fact that you could have stopped the big beautiful bill if these people that were old and had cancer had decided to step down like rational human beings instead of dying right before major votes.
Right. It's a good point. Yeah.
Like,
and the House, selfish. We'll see what happens in the Senate, because Rand Paul is clearly against it. And even Elon Musk came out today, of all people, and said he was against the bill and thinks it's ridiculous. And anyone who votes for it should be ashamed. He even tweeted out after that and said, we should get rid of all the politicians who betrayed us. And I'm like, us? Who's us? But anyway. Owen Lanning says, just to clarify, Nolan left because of past ownership, not defending Zaslav, and Denis, and Denis is still there. So, yeah, but it's still what we said earlier, right, Owen, that it's been systemic, the issues behind the scenes at WB for 10 to 15, 20 years now, through all these attempts to launch the DC universe, launch other franchises, and it's been an issue. So Zaslav is just the latest in the line of these that have been going through. So, Nolan might have left under another regime, but that other regime, the new regime, carried over some of the personalities and tactics and approaches from the old regime. So it just hasn't changed that much. So
see, I'm trying to remember when he joined WB, because I'm going to see. Okay, 2021.
Yeah.
So yes, I get. Sure, that's fine. I'll take that off. He hasn't helped. Like, yeah, I'll back off off Denny in that one, but
right,
the rest of the stuff still applies.
Yeah, crazy stuff for sure. One last thing I want to play you here, Winston. I'm going to take the graphic down. Then we're going to get out of here on this. You got to be careful in life to understand what you're carrying in your truck. I don't know if you saw this video. I think this was in a Chicago neighborhood, but if you're driving by somebody, oh, that's not the way to go. That is not the way to go. You have to be aware of what you're transporting in your truck. This was not a terrorist attack before anybody loses their minds. Apparently, there's a propane tank that exploded in the back of this movie guy's truck, and the guy was fine, just minor injuries. But Jesus Christ, Winston, you got to be careful about what you're transporting in life because you never know what can happen there. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, there you go. Be careful. Don't transport propane in a truck that's moving around like that. So yeah, I think he survived because the truck blew out instead of blew forward, and I think that's why he was able to survive. All right. We should get on out of here. Thank you all so much for joining us. Winston A. Marshall, another fun show, brother man, on a Tuesday afternoon. Please let people know where they can find you and see all your great content here on the YouTubes and in other places, my man.
At the Swaggy Blurred on the Twitch and the YouTube and the social. What the hell? I should I got like some work to do today, but if I got time, I'm gonna be on Twitch. You can call. What the hell?
Metaphor for picking up new friends on Figueroa.
Yeah, just come. I'll be on Twitch at some point.
There you go.
In the next day or so, I got some videos coming out on YouTube. I'll be on Capes and Cal. I am never getting propane for the barbecue ever again. Someone else can do that.
Yes.
I'm not.
Yes.
It couldn't be me.
I mean, I had to pick up propane for Christian when I lost a bet one time when we were working at Collider, and I strapped that fucking thing down in the car so it didn't move even an inch. So, I don't trust that shit at all. So, let alone driving around a big old truck banging around back there. All right, thank you so much. As for me, you can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads, and all of that. And of course, please remember to subscribe to the channel down below. Hit that bell button. Well over 250 people were joining us live through the entire show today. Thank you so much. Please hit a like. Please subscribe. Please send it out to other people to get more people joining us every week on Spill the Tequila. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of the show next week. Take care. Until then, peace, everybody.